Are you flying under the radar in your life that just might be causing you to lose potential opportunities of great change coming your way? Hi, my name is Nancy Rebecca. I am a clairvoyant psychic. I'm a healer. I'm a registered nurse. Been doing this work for almost 30 years. I've studied about 25,000 human energy fields because of my insatiable curiosity to really want to understand what's happening in the human energy field when certain behaviors come up. So if you're new to my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button because I have a lot of information to share with you, and I know that you will definitely want to be receiving all the newest and latest topics that I talk about. So we are living in this incredible time of change, and we talk about all the ways that we can take the high road where we want to be uplifted, we want to be uplifting to others, where we no longer want to compromise ourselves and life, where we may want to hear from the star beings, or we want to hear from the angelic realm or the ascended masters on exactly what's going on and how we're waiting in some ways for the world to become a better place for us. But where my main focus is, and I think the point that I'm always wanting to make is that you can really think and dream and desire what you want to be, reaching your greatest potential, having lots of opportunities, but you can actually be holding very restrictive energy patterns. So no matter how much you desire to take that higher bar, that those patterns can really hold you back. So today I'm talking about that pattern of flying under the radar. Now, I know that some of you are going to know exactly what I mean, and you are going to know that I am exactly referring to you and talking about you. But I want to share with you, as a clairvoyant who can see energy fields and has studied the human energy field and can identify patterns right away, the pattern of flying under the radar looks just like this. So when I'm looking at the human energy field, if you were to come sit in front of me, I would see this big, heavy, thick line, like when you take one of those black Sharpie pens and you just draw the line across the top. And then life might be happening up here for many, many people. But for you, if you're flying under the radar, you're going to keep your energy below the radar. So why would you do that? Well, often flying under the radar happens, and it's a pattern, a behavior pattern, a life-saving pattern, protection pattern that you developed when you were in childhood. So as long as you were under the radar, then you might not get in trouble. If you're flying under the radar, you don't trigger your parents. If you fly under the radar, you don't get spanked. If you've experienced in your childhood where maybe you were the one that was identified as the scapegoat, maybe you're just flying under the radar because you don't want your siblings to pick on you. You don't want your parents to pick on you. You don't want to cause any problems. So you really squish yourself quite small. It's almost like, you're ducked way under this big, heavy line of don't let your light shine. You're kind of walking like a little duck under the radar. You are literally doing this energetically. So how many of you maybe have grown up in childhood where maybe there was some violence? Maybe you had your parents who, when they drank a lot, they were just not very nice people to be around. So you would definitely hide in your room, or you would go outside and hide, or you might go to a friend's house to hide until everything calms down. But again, there's that heavy line where you're going to keep yourself quite small. If there is maybe sexual abuse, you definitely want to fly under the radar because you don't want your light to shine. You don't want to look attractive to the abuser. So you definitely keep your light down. You definitely do that little walk that's underneath that heavy line. It's like if you raise your head, somebody's going to notice you. And if you raise your head, somebody might abuse you, or somebody might hit you, or somebody might like, oh, what are you doing, stupid head? You know, what are you being lazy about today? So you can be easily targeted by that position of being the scapegoat in your family. And so what can happen when you become an adult is that pattern can be stuck in your energy field. And so often when I have clients come to see me, this is exactly what they'll say. They'll say, I'm invisible. I don't want to be invisible, but I can walk in a room full of people and nobody will see me. Well, then if that's the case, you might be energetically carrying on from childhood or other different stages in your life where you're flying under the radar. So they can't see you. You're not letting your light shine because of some of these old patterns. Or some of the other things people will say is, I could be raising my hand and the teacher won't even call on me, but they'll call on everybody else. Or how about even being in a restaurant where you were the first one at the table and yet everybody's already got their food ordered and they've already received their food and the waiter or waitress hasn't even noticed you. So these can be really crazy making patterns that you don't even know exist in your own energy field. And you're always wondering, like you're trying to make yourself show up a bit more. Or how about being extra shy or being an empath? So often in that shyness, it's like, I don't want anybody to see me. I don't want to be called on by the teacher. I can feel the teacher's going to call on me and I'm trying to make myself super, super small. Only because maybe you have patterns that say, I'm not that smart. And if the teacher calls on me, see, you fly under the radar. If the teacher calls on me, then everybody's going to get to see just how not smart I am. Often individuals that are flying under the radar will also wear pretty plain clothing, maybe grays or blacks or whites or just maybe heavy sweatpants and heavy sweatshirts, not wanting to bring attention. Somebody who flies under the radar is definitely not going to wear colorful clothing or expensive suits and dresses and beautiful shoes. You're not going to do anything that's going to bring attention to you. But psychologically, what can that do, to you emotionally? What can that do to you? Well, I've already kind of described how maybe you're now ready to stand out in the world, where you're ready to really move into those upper chakras. You want to maybe become a speaker on stage. Maybe you want to stand in front of a classroom to be a teacher. Maybe you wish to be a performer and you're wondering why nobody really engages with you energetically. So that can really impact you psychologically and emotionally because it compounds that feeling that you're not worthy of attention, or you are afraid to have attention because in your early childhood, if there was abuse or the abuser around, it's like, oh no, if I'm an adult now and I attract attention, some of you might just run out of the room. It's like, oh no, all the attention's on me. Like I have a really good friend that can celebrate their birthday with maybe one person or by themselves. But if they had 20 of their dearest friends come together to throw a birthday party for them, it's too much. It's like, oh no, you can see me. I'm going to get spanked. Like we don't think this in our head consciously, but these can be some of the subconscious things that can happen. It's like, I don't want them to see me because they're going to see that I'm not that smart. Like there's a lot of kind of these underlying energetic reasons that can interfere with your ability to want to be seen. And what's happening now as our world is expanding in a bigger, brighter, more conscious, wise, knowledgeable, photonic light that's activating your brilliance, yep, that can cause a few little inner battles that are going on, or maybe some big battles, and you don't even know why. Or how about you've developed yourself spiritually, you want to be a healer, you want to be a reader, maybe you want to be available to help people, and yet nobody comes to you for help. Like you can't get the clients, you can't get the patients. And it's because they can't see you. It's like they don't even think of you to say, hey, I think I'm going to call Nancy and see if she has any appointments. Because if you're used to playing small, or it's more than playing small, flying under that radar, it's going to be very, very challenging for you to get the attention that you need to live to your fullest potential. So what kind of steps can you take to help yourself with that pattern? But before we get to some of the tips and ways that you can work with this pattern of flying under the radar, I do want to mention just one other thing, that sometimes some people purposefully fly under the radar because it is a strategic move. So how many of you, maybe as athletes, maybe you are competing for different positions within the company. So you may kind of become the wallflower, you stay in the background, you don't really stand out, and then suddenly you become, what do they call, the dark horse, the one that nobody ever expected to be able to come up with this brilliant idea and surpass everybody who was used to being in the limelight. So I have definitely witnessed this in athletes, where they will really kind of downplay it. So they're riding their bike, they're really kind of casually going along, or they may even look at the other players like, oh, you know, I am no match for you. You're just all that in a box of chocolate. And so really energetically, you will really dampen down, fly under the radar. You will do that on purpose so that nobody sees you as a winner. Nobody sees that you have a competitive edge, that you have competitive potential. And then suddenly, right at the last minute, you really expand your aura, you really bring in a lot of your spirit, and you really go for it. So there can be strategic ways that you can use that to your advantage as well. But because we're really talking about spiritual development, I did want to talk about this topic because sometimes you're doing all the right things, but you just need to unlock some of those old patterns. So if there's any way that you are relating to this and you're like, oh, I definitely fly under the radar, the very first thing that I'm going to give you permission to do is to completely dissolve the radar. So how can you do that? Well, you go ahead and ground yourself. I've got my free meditations on my website under shop. You just click that button and then you can download one of the free meditations, and you just get yourself energetically flowing. The big thing, especially if these patterns were learned in childhood, you're going to have to remind yourself, hey, I'm not 6 years old anymore. I'm 36 years old. I have a lot of wisdom. It's my time to shine in life. Those things can really help you to expand. The other thing is, see if you, as you're running your energy, see if you can sense or notice that everything is kind of collapsed down, squished down. Are you in your lower chakras? Are your upper chakras vacated because you're not letting your light shine in these upper chakras? Bring your consciousness all the way up into your sixth chakra. Let your light shine out your eyes. and allow yourself to center yourself right there above the ears, a little bit behind is about where the area of your pineal is. So just keep and talk to yourself and say, that was then, this is now. I might not have felt safe then, but I've really created a safe life now. And then do things to kind of push yourself to the top. Like if you tend to be a wallflower, you tend to be a little bit shy, but you really do want to share some great ideas that you have with others, then you're just going to have to do it. Just like the Nike commercial, just do it. Or you can say to the group that you're presenting to, it's like, I tend to be a little shy. I tend to stay in the background. I'm a little uncomfortable about presenting this, but I do have a great idea that I want to share. So I want to thank you for your patience with maybe the ways that I'm presenting the material might not sound so confident, but I want you to know I'm confident in this. And so, yeah, just work with yourself. But the biggest thing is present timing. You want to remind yourself of what today's date is. You want to go into meditation and you want to imagine any of those energetic patterns of that radar that you've created and just rinse it with gold. Allow it to dissolve, move fully in your expanded self, and really let your light shine. So I look forward to reading in the comments section when was it that you identified that you were flying under the radar? What kind of steps, like helpful hints that you can share in your story so that when other people are reading in the comments section, they'll say, oh, I think I'll try that. You know, what was that big thing that you did for yourself that helped you kind of, what do we call it, break the glass ceiling so that you could really move into your greatest potential. So I love working with you on those energy levels. I love giving you those helpful tips that I have noticed in other people's energy field. I want to send out a lot of gratitude for those that I have done readings on over the years that have helped me to see some of the normal day-to-day patterns that we all work with in some form or fashion. So let's expand into our light. Let's be willing to move ourselves up above the wall of the radar and enjoy life again. All right, everyone, take care. Hope that you enjoyed this topic, and I look forward to reading your comments in the comments section and seeing you on the next teaching video.